I've got to ask you quickly, Victor, because I know we're up against the clock.
Yeah.
Just a minute, because I know you study this stuff for a living. The magnificence of the American military. And I get it. I understand people are like, we had fancy tools and we wanted to use them. No, it was so much more complex than that. But it was, from my standpoint, beautifully executed by the Pentagon. I tip my hat to Pete Hegseth, who has come under withering fire for the first 4 months of the administration, but not a word leaked out of this. The Pentagon went into lockdown. It didn't leak. Our boys, yes, the New York Times and Jennifer Griffin of Fox got upset that Pete used the term "our boys," because apparently there was one female pilot. I guarantee you she's a tough badass who doesn't give two shits whether they're referred to as boys. Went over there and got business taken care of. Here is just a bit from Pete Hegseth on a presser yesterday morning at 8 talking about how it was done. Saw 5.
Iran is certainly calculating the reality that planes flew from the middle of America in Missouri overnight, completely undetected over 3 of their most highly sensitive sites, and we were able to destroy nuclear capabilities. And our boys in those bombers are on their way home right now. We believe that'll have a clear psychological impact on how they view the future, and we certainly hope they take the path of negotiated peace.
Your thoughts on that piece of it, Victor?
Well, I mean, if you were a stranger from a strange land and somebody told you that they're going to take off from a base in Missouri and then they're going to refuel several times and fly 7,000 miles for 16 hours, and then they're going to drop these huge 30,000-pound bombs through a hole the size of, or a target the size of a kitchen table, and as they get into Iranian airspace, they're going to meet fighter escort, and they're only going to be there 25 minutes, and then they're going to go all the way back. And the defense secretary, who has been accused of having aides that leak, they're not going to know anything about it, because there were reporters at the Missouri base just waiting to see those things. And then this elaborate ruse, not just that they were going to Guam, but apparently 3 of them peeled off to go to Guam. It was brilliantly planned. There was no leaks. And it's a funny kind of forever war when no Americans are killed on the first day of hostilities, and apparently very few Iranians and probably no Iranian civilians. So everything about it was professional. And I think it reflects, in a way, we don't talk about it, but if we had this conversation a year ago, Megyn, we were 35 to 45,000 recruits down in the military, and the military was not honest with us. The Obama generals, the Biden hierarchy, they were saying, oh, it's because people are out of shape, or they're in gang activity, or we have to compete with private It wasn't. It was a sense of DEI and weaponization of the Pentagon, and Lloyd Austin, Mark Milley testimonies, the humiliation in Afghanistan, and the particular demographic that had traditionally, generation after generation, joined the military and had died at double their numbers in the demographic in Iraq and Afghanistan at the point of the spear in combat. They weren't doing it. They just said, you know what? I'm not going to send my grandson to go over into the Pentagon and be indoctrinated and have all the DEI and I'm just not going to do it, and then go to a place like Helmand and be on the front lines and be ridiculed as a white racist. They're not going to do it. And that's all ended now. And there's a sense that the military is back to its original mission, which is battlefield efficacy. And I think it's really improved the morale of the military. And I think they know they're going to get the weapons they need. Yeah.
Very proud of them. Yeah. That was perfectly executed. I mean, not for nothing, but on our way over to Greece, it was like a very long flight. For the first time, I finally got around to watching Top Gun Maverick, which so many people have been pointing this out, but I get the references now. But it was like the mission in Top Gun Maverick was basically the mission that our guys just had to do. It's very eerie in the way that movie Contagion with Matt Damon and Gwyneth Paltrow really like completely nailed what would happen during the COVID-19 lockdowns.
I know him.
This movie completely predicted our military situation.
Yeah. The thing about you said, just finishing, you mentioned that there was an anger that they said boys instead of women. I think she was the only female pilot in the B-1 program that was.
Yes.
You know that if there is such a thing as Iranian terrorist cells, you wouldn't want to be identified as the only woman. That wouldn't be too hard to find. You could go on the internet and say, which woman, is there a woman in the B2 program, and find her name. So I mean, that would be silly to identify who she was.
It's just ridiculous. These people on the left have, you can't say you guys anymore if there's a woman in the crowd. Well, guess what? We do, and we don't want to be lectured. We are days away from what has been dubbed by some the Rio Reset, what some worry could be a threat to the U.S. dollar's global dominance in over 80 years. On July 6th, BRICS nations, that's Russia, China, India, and Iran, and some more, are expected to unveil their plans to circumvent the U.S. dollar, thus cratering, its value. Some report that they've already been laying the groundwork as their central banks have been methodically divesting from the U.S. dollar and U.S. bonds in favor of gold. How can you protect your IRA or 401k from the fallout from this landmark shift? One option is to diversify with gold from Birch Gold Group. Historically, gold has been a safe haven in times of high uncertainty, which is right now. Get a free info kit on tax-sheltered gold IRAs by texting the word MK letters to 989898. July 6th could mark a monumental shift happening among nations that control 1/3 of the world's GDP. Arm yourself with information to diversify your retirement savings. Text MK to 989898 and claim your free info kit from Birch Gold. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.